Hey everyone, I'm Paris, and I am so grateful that you have turned on this class about how to engage and to strengthen your core from the Bowspring perspective. Of course, the Bowspring has a completely different perspective than traditional ideas about how to engage the core. Usually, those traditional ideas are centered around closing and crunching the front of the body as the ribs come forward, and there is this shortening and closing at the front belly. And oftentimes we are doing that to achieve like flatter stomach, or maybe you're doing that to achieve healing abdominal separation or diastasis recti. Potentially you're attempting to strengthen your core to help your lower back and to ease lower back pain. And for pelvic floor health, aesthetically, the flat belly, the six-pack abs. I did a lot of crunches in my life to achieve that flat belly, but guess what? No matter how many crunches I did, it never happened. And what was also really fascinating about crunching my belly is that I developed lower back pain as a result of doing so much core work, which was very mystifying to me because the common understanding is that as you engage your core muscles, then you can ease your lower back pain, which is absolutely true. I was just going about it the wrong way. To illustrate what it is that we're doing in the Bowspring, I have this little toy here, and if you check it out, this is known as a Chinese finger trap. I'll be referring to it as a Chinese finger freedom because we all want more freedom in our lives. And this is the top of the toy where my index finger is. We can think of that as the ribs. The bottom finger is the hips. And when we're dropping the ribs into the hips, then we can see what happens to the fibers in the middle is that they expand on all sides. This is very similar to how our fascia fibers are knitted together through these X's. And so if you were to pull the top hand away from the bottom hand, thinking that the top hand is the ribs, bottom hand is the hips, if you were to pull them, look what happens to the center. It narrows in. It gets very narrow. If you drop it, it goes wide. If you lift, it gets narrow. And so the Bowspring philosophy is really emphasizing us to get long through in this space of the torso. And gosh, so many benefits happen as a result of finding more length through our belly space. Not only do our organs have more space to pump and pulse and do their thing on behalf of our health, but it's also really effective at healing together the abdominal separations, knitting together those myofascia fibers like so, right, in that X-like shape. It's also really effective at healing any pelvic floor imbalances because what we're learning here through the body and through this movement is that everything is connected. It's very important for me to share with you that the Bowspring is a complete formula and a full body system. Everything gets accounted for in this amazing practice, from the top of our head to our fingertips to our toe tips to every joint, every muscle. Everything has its purpose and its place, and it's learning how to turn things on and to position it to be in the right direction, to move with the right directionality that really not only brings so much healing to everything in the body, not just diastasis recti or lower back pain or pelvic floor imbalances or shoulder pain. Yes, it's doing that, but it's so much more. It's allowing energy to flow through our system that much more efficiently and for our system to communicate that much more effectively. And as a result, we can move with much more freedom and ease and just feel an energy of life force move through our mind, body, and heart with every breath. So this is just like a chapter of the system. It's impossible for me to give it to you through a 30-minute video or 5 30-minute videos because it's just learning how to be accountable and to wake up inside of the fullness of our bodies. And then as a result, we get all of this healing and strengthening and toning. And yeah, it's just a really beautiful practice. So I'm just sharing with you a chapter of it. So as the ribs lift and the hips to root, that's where we get that narrowing and tapering in at the side bodies, and the front belly and the back body begins to like taper in. But in order to access the lifting of the ribs and the rooting of the hips, we've got to learn how to soften our belly, because we are holding a ton of tension in the belly region that maybe we don't even have any idea that we're holding. So from years of core work, traditionally shortening, maybe imbalance muscle tone of the core muscles, possibly trauma through the belly, a traumatic pregnancy, like mind, body, spirit, there's a lot of tension that we're holding in our belly. And in order to find length there, we first have to learn to soften it, because that's what's going to give way for the ribs to rise and the hips to root. It's through that softening, and then just naturally through that action of lifting the ribs and rooting the hips, we naturally begin to turn on muscles in the core. Then as we go long through the torso, we get strong. And so I'll be guiding you through how to get soft, long, strong through this movement. My teacher, Desi Springer, she sings a lot because we can remember things through different carols and tunes and melodies. And so she has sung this melody to us since the beginning, really, of like soft, long, strong. So we'll be bringing that into our practice today. Please have a chair available for your practice. When you sit on the chair, if your hips sink back and your hips are lower than your knees, then you're gonna need to grab some sort of prop pillow to elevate your hips. So you want your hips a little bit higher than your knees. I will encourage you to have a yoga block, and if your knees are really sensitive, then I'll encourage you to grab a towel or a blanket, something to pad your knees. Let's get to this movement practice. Thank you so much for being here and opening your mind and opening your body with these different ideas. I'm so excited to share more with you. Okay. Meet me in your chair in a seated position, and if you need to prop your hips, once again, please grab that pillow to allow the hips to be a little bit higher than the knees. And then I just lifted my hips, grabbed my booty cheeks, pulled them wide and then up, and then sit back down. So I encourage you to do that to create a nice wide base for a strong foundation. And then with the feet about shoulder width distance, the ankles are stacked below the knees. And with the hands on the thighs, allow your eyes to close, and let's just take a moment to center, allowing our presence to arrive inside of this incredible opportunity that you've given yourself today to learn how to move your body with a little bit more interest and exploration, and with this intention to really develop and to nourish our connection to our core. Allow your breath to come in through your nose and out through your nose. And as you breathe deep, allow your breath to move into your belly space. So with your inhalation, the belly expands, and with your exhalation, the belly draws back in. Allow any tension to begin to release through the torso region. So first we're going soft, and in order for us to gain the length, we have to first soften. Now, as you breathe deep through your belly, simultaneously begin to fill your side ribs so they expand like gills of a fish. As your side ribs expand, begin to feel your back heart open, your front heart open. And then the whole energy of the ribs begins to lift. Now, it doesn't protrude forward, it just lifts. And it can first start by a millimeter, so subtle, or an inch, but you're lifting the ribs. And slowly, as you lift the ribs, just take your awareness to your belly and notice if you can feel any activation through your torso, through your core muscles as you simply lift the ribs. Again, please don't just emphasize lifting and protruding, flaring the front ribs. As we go long and lift the ribs, rooting the hips, we can experience a little bit more strength and tone. Those muscles begin to engage. Lift your arms and give yourself a great big hug with your right arm over your left. And you can relax your elbows towards your chest. I just can't because of my mic here. And with the intention to really fill your back heart, take a breath. And then walk your left hand to the right rib cage and give yourself a massage here. Just massage this whole rib cage. And in order for us to experience the length through the belly, we have to create more mobility through the ribs, opening and hydrating the myofascia tissue here. Pause, hold your right rib cage with your left hand. Breathe your ribs into your hand as you take an arc to the left. Lift your right ribs into your left hand and then arc. Let your belly bow forward. Now begin to draw your belly button in as it moves forward. Deep breath. Exhale, drawing your front belly in and beginning now to feel the side bodies cinch in. Lift through center, switch out the arms, and notice how you feel between sides, your right side from your left side. Walk your right hand to the left rib cage. Just give yourself a massage here. And this left arm, it can rest on your right. Again, I just can't because of my mic. Now hold your ribs like you really mean it, like I got you. Give them something powerful to push into. As you now relax the traps, lift the ribs and arc to the right. Lift the left ribs into your right hand and then root your left hip back. Deep belly breath. Exhale, draw your belly button in, but just not creating more tension. So we want to find the fine line between engagement versus tension. It is a very fine line. Deep breath. And inhale, lift. Let's talk a little bit more about what that means. Okay, relax your hands from those hug arms, and then let's take the hands to the true waist, and the true waist exists below the ribs. So just kind of lovingly palpate here. You can feel your bottom ribs, and then feel the top hips. And we want to create more space between the two. And oftentimes, most people, especially as we get older, the ribs start to move down into the waist, and then we get that effect, right? That widening effect. And maybe you're experiencing it in your own body, or you can just look around in the world and see it everywhere. So find your true waist below the ribs, above the hips, and then give yourself a massage here, just lovingly palpating. You're gonna be moving past the adipose tissue to feel for the muscles. Please keep your breath long, steady. And then with this horseshoe hand position, fingers on the front body, thumbs on the back body, and the webbing between your index and your thumb is, it's pressing in at the waist. Now, like really pressure in and allow the back to slightly come forward. Draw the front belly slightly in, and I want you to imagine that you're cinching up a corset, but you're inside of this lower back curve, okay? Deep breath, ribs wide. Exhale, draw your belly button in. So you can feel that energy that we're going for. First, we have to soften, then we get long. Through the length comes strength. And on your exhalation, release the waist hook. Lift your arms into the air. Cross your right arm over your left and arc your left ear behind your shoulder. The arms we want more in the front plane, not all the way up high towards the head. So a little bit more in front of your face, left ear arcs behind left shoulder. Now pressure your wrists into each other, equal resistance, as you begin to lift your right ribs towards the sky. Now lift the ribs once again to find more length through your left side body. Yeah, not the right, and yes, the right and the left, but I want you to focus on finding that length through the left side body. So the priority is lifting the ribs, then sweetly arcing. Lift your ribs to center, switch out the cross of your arms. Right ear arcs behind right shoulder. Then the elbows go wide, the wrists pressure into each other as you begin to elevate your left ribs towards the sky, creating more length on the left side body, yes, and also the right side body. Deep breath, relax your face, sweetly lift through center, and slowly keep that expansion through your ribs as you lower your hands to your thighs. Great. Cheeks are spread wide, so if you need to reposition and grab them to pull them up and wide, please do so. Walk your feet hip width distance and cross your left ankle over your right thigh, your right base thigh. Your right hand comes to your left foot, left hand comes to the outside of your left knee. Now, slowly bring a small little flexion into your left foot, it doesn't have to be very much, and then relax your toes. Begin to draw your ribs forward. Don't collapse them down to shorten the belly. Booty goes back and wide for this nice hip opener. Deep breath in. Exhale, you can feel the side bodies begin to tone in, cinching the left and the right side body together like a corset. Inhale, please lift the left leg, lower it to the ground, cross your right ankle over your left knee. Left hand comes to the bottom of your right foot, right hand comes to the outside of your right knee. Gentle flexion through that right foot. So we're not pulling it all the way up, and we're certainly not lifting and spreading the toes. So it's this gentle lift, then relax your toes. Then begin to escort the ribs forward without dropping them down. As the ribs go forward, the hips, they really anchor back, allowing the torso to work like a suspension bridge. Side bodies hug in, relax your back, and then slowly lift your right leg and lower it to the ground. Step your feet wide, so about shoulder width distance, and then you're gonna step your feet a little bit further back from your knees so they're not directly stacked. You're light through the heels and the front of your foot is more rooted. That's the paw. I'll be referring to that through class. And then we're going to push the weight forward, but bloom your butt back. Push into the ground with your paws to lift your ribs. And here we are at a standing position. Okay, step your feet a little bit wider than about shoulder width distance. And for this moment, bring a small little bend into your knees and let's lift the arms. Cross your right arm over your left. Left hand comes to right rib cage. Bend the knees, sit your bum back, and then begin to arc the ribs to the left. Deep belly breath, and then exhale. Draw your belly button in, but really this is like 2% of your energy. I don't want it to be anything really intense right now. You're just feeling that energy hugging in towards your organs, but not gripping. Bend into your knees, sit your bum back, and then arc to the left. Bloom your butt back for 3. Pulsing it, your ribs lift, exhale, arc. Prioritizing the lift of the ribs before the arc and then lift. Switch out the cross of the arms. Right hand lowers to your left rib cage. Pull in on that right hand on the left ribs, then use your breath to expand because this is a huge key to unlocking the power of your belly and the healing of your belly is the expansion through the ribs. So expand your left rib into your right hand, opening it like an accordion. Lift the ribs, bend the knees, root the hips. When you bend the knees, be sure not to drop your bum. like I'm doing here. We want it to be more back. Now shift the weight out of the heels so you're lighter through the heels and you're more on your paws. Now arc to the right. Lift your left ribs into your right hand. Lift your chin from your throat. You feel the separation of the earth of your hips. That's the anchor point, and the sky of your ribs. 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, lift. I'm gonna step this chair aside. And then let's take the hands into low hug arms. And I want you to cross your arms in the front plane and feel for your ribs, okay? Then you're gonna hold those base ribs, those base babies here, and take a deep breath into them. Draw your front torso slightly in. Draw your chin in towards your chest for this moment to really emphasize the back heart filling. Pointing your toes forward, soft little bend into your knees. Please don't drop your butt and narrow your pelvic floor. We want it to be wide. Then slowly with the chin drawing in, you're going to arc your ribs to the right, push your left ribs wide. Take a breath there. Now with that hand on the left ribs, you're gonna push in and pull up. Deep breath. Inhale, slowly come back through center and arc to the left. You can draw your front shoulders in just to really emphasize and unlock more space through the right ribs. Push your right ribs into that hand. Little pulses through the legs, keeping your butt untucked. And then sweetly lift through center. With the hands here at the waist, you're pushing in and pulling up. Now, like you're a corset, you're cinching together the waist. Can you feel that? Okay, but your belly is also bowing forward. All of this unlocking the length of the waist starts with the ribs. Then keep your awareness of your ribs as you release your ribs with your arms and lift your arms forward, up and out. Yay! Okay, with the feet stepped wide, bend into your knees and take your hands to your thighs. And then we're gonna keep bending into the legs and lowering the right hand to the ground. Step your hands forward, step your feet back. Step your feet shoulder width distance apart. Bend into your knees and bloom your butt towards the sky. Like let that peach of a booty open towards the sun. Then push into the ground with your hands and reach your ribs in the opposite direction. Imagine that you are cinching up a corset here, booty is on the rise, and then slowly begin to bend and extend. When you push into the ground with your arms, the back ribs fill. Can you feel that? Open through the collarbones for 3, 2, and 1. Okay, step your feet wide, walk your hands halfway back. Please grab your block. Place the block on the tallest setting, and the block is stepped arms width distance from your body. Push into the block. When you push into the block, can you feel your ribs expand? Outer elbows go wide. Keep the expansion of the ribs. Prioritize that as you bend your knees and then extend. Bend and extend the legs, and each time that you bend and extend that booty, it is going up, my friends. The sitting bones expand. That's that root foundation that is giving rise to your ribs so that your belly can lengthen. And with length comes strength. 3, 2, and 1. Bend into your left leg, extend your right, take your hips to the left. Bend into both of your legs. Bend into your right, extend your left. Bend into your left, extend your right. Couple more times on each side. All the while just maintaining the fullness of your ribs and using your block to help that. And then bend through center, walk your hands up to your thighs. And on your next inhalation, we're going to come to rise. Please step your feet narrow, and we're gonna grab our chair once again. Bring your chair to your space and ditch the pillow that's on it. You can set your block aside and step your feet wide to the edges of your mat. Bend into your knees and take your hands to the chair. So we want the hips anchored back so they're not coming forward. And we want the wrists stepped in front of the shoulders. Once again, similar to what it is that we did on the block, but I want you to feel it with a little bit more elevation. Push into your chair to lift your ribs. Root the paws of your feet and hover your heels. Bend into your knees and your pelvic floor is opening back behind you, and take a couple of bend and extends. Now, let your breath flow deep through your belly, because that's what's going to unwind all of the tension. Then with the exhalation, you're cinching together the waistline. Think about the waistline hugging in, the front of the belly gently coming in, and your lower back is bowing forward. And then step your feet a little closer together and lower one foot, one knee, and followed by the other. So if you need to pad your knees, this would be a great place to do it. And we're in a modified all fours position on our hands and on our knees. And the hands, we want them to be a little bit wider than the shoulders. So hopefully you're not working with a chair that is too narrow, because that's not going to be helpful for the energy of the ribs widening and lifting. Now, if you push into the chair to elevate your ribs, then sit the hips back, push into the chair to lift your ribs, and we're here. And for 5, the hips are going back as you push down to rise. Now, can you feel your core working, right? The core just naturally begins to engage in order for the ribs to lift and the hips to root. Then we begin to bring more intentional engagement, feeling the side body cinch in. Please pause in the middle, arc your right ear behind your left shoulder, and begin to lift your left ribs into the air. Outer right elbow goes wide. Lift your chin from your throat. Left hand can come into what we call a dome hand in the bowspring. It's like you're holding a ball, okay? Left ribs on the rise. The front of your body is getting long. It's open. Your back body is learning to tone as you lift your left ribs for 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, lift through center. Opposite side, arc your left ear behind your shoulder. Begin to lift your right ribs, let the right shoulder broaden to bring your right hand into a dome hand. Keep pushing down and slightly back through the left arm, so we're not collapsing weight through that shoulder. And the specific energy is the right ribs on the rise, left side body lengthening. Taper in at the waistline. Draw your front belly in. Deep breath, then relax it as you inhale. Exhale, draw it in and lift through center. Okay, one more time, arc the right ear behind the shoulder, outer elbows wide. So we want to avoid hyperextending any joints in the bowspring. So outer elbows wide, but it doesn't have to be like significant, right? It's just a little bit. A little goes a long way. Right ear arcs behind the shoulder. Lift your left ribs into the air. Dome your left hand. Lean back. Arc ribs high. Finding the balance between engagement and just tension. Can you find the length through drawing the side bodies in, cinching in the corset? Come through center, arc your left ear behind your shoulder, arc your right ribs towards the sky, little bend into the elbows, lift your chin from your throat. Deep breath through your nose, releases the tension. It's bringing oxygen to all of our cells, and then exhaling, drawing, cinching the waistline in. 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, lift. Sit your Let's just take the chair aside and come into an all fours position on your hands and on your knees. Step the hands a little bit wider and more in front of the shoulders, outer elbows wide, and then just take some organic movement here, really bringing into your awareness the torso and the belly region. And as you sway the hips and sway the ribs left and right, it's almost like a wagging, like you're a happy dog. Yay, happy dogs. And then please walk your knees hip width distance if they're not already there. If you push into the floor, can you feel your ribs, your back ribs lift? Now smile open through your collarbones. Point the toes back and then begin to suction cup up through the front ankles by drawing the tops of the feet, pushing them down and forward. Now feel the suspension between your hips rooting and your ribs pulling forward. Begin to naturally cinch in at the waistline as you draw the front belly only a degree or two in. Lower back is bowing forward. Shift left, lift right. Come into square leg on the right. The knee is hovering right below the hip. And then we're going to lift and lower here. Imagine that you had an ankle weight on your ankle and you were pushing into that weight. Now, keep the ribs accountable. They're lifting, filling, and broadening here. Fingertips are rooted, outer elbows are wide. All of this is deeply connected to healing your core, healing any incontinence, pelvic floor issues, because the energy is lifting from the pelvic floor. It's not just gravity, dropping down all of those muscles through the pelvic floor, those pelvic floor muscles dropping down. So it's lifting into our body as we cinch in through the waist for 3, 2, 1. Slowly open your right leg, step your right foot to align with your left shin. So again, I've talked about this so many times, but just a quick review, we don't want to step too far forward where we drop our butt. Look what happens to my belly here. It closes, and then think of the Chinese finger freedom toy. What's going to happen when it closes? The waistline expands. So we want to keep the belly open, we want to keep the hips rooted back, and the opportunity for the ribs to blossom forward. The right foot is more at a diagonal rather than a 90 degrees. It's more at a diagonal. Right knee is tracking over right toes. Bloom your butt back, pull the ribs forward. Couple of pulses. Then root into your left arm. And you're going to shift the weight there without dropping weight through the shoulder. So we don't want to just collapse down. We want to root to rise. Right hand, it comes in the front of the body to hold your left rib cage. Now feel those ribs. Push in, pull up with the hand. And then breathe your potent breath into your left rib cage. 3, 2, 1. Okay, last variation, you're going to release the right hand, kickstand your left foot so it just goes wide to the left. Lift your right arm into the air, and then we're going to hold the back of the head. Arc over your left shoulder, push into the ground with your left arm and bloom your butt back. Sit back and arc. So you're so open through your central channel. The central channel is the first principle of the bowspring, and it's inviting the body to get very long through the curves of the spine, opening through the pelvic floor, rooting back through the hips, and then pulling the ribs and the crown of the head forward away from the hips. 3. Big belly breath, feeling the side bodies begin to cinch in, opening, toning those obliques. Lower the right hand, right foot, knee lower. Okay, grab your block, place it on the tallest setting. Step your knees wide of the mat and your feet together. And then lower onto your forearms. With your block on the tallest setting, you're going to walk the bottom part of your forehead to the block. But I don't want you to walk the block so far in that you close the neck. Interestingly, as we close the neck, that's going to ripple into the belly. and it's going to close. So we want the neck to maintain an openness as you're going to rock onto the bottom front edge of the block, and the back bottom edge is going to be lifted. You're just going to take some pulses here. Booty wide. Ribs fill, expand. Deepen your breath through your belly. And then slowly begin to lift up onto your hands. Step your knees closer together and your knees apart, your feet apart. Hands a little bit wider than shoulders. Then shift right, gentle flexion through the feet, relax your toes. Lift your left leg into a square leg. Push into the ground with your hands to elevate your front and your back ribs. Outer elbows wide will open the side ribs. Lift and lower your left leg. Through each lift and lower of the leg, we maintain the pelvic anterior tilt. And now I want you to imagine that you are pushing into an ankle weight that's about 2, 3, 4 pounds. Now, ribs rise, hips root, cinch the side belly, the side torso in, but simultaneously relax your lower back. I know this is like a lot of rub your belly, pat your head. It's a completely new language, so if you feel really confused, you're not alone. Every first Bowspring class, it's like, what are you talking about? But I promise you, this is so effective. And then keep your booty on the rise. So notice I'm not dropping it and going here. It's not what we want. Keep the booty on the rise, and then let's slowly open the left leg, humble cat to the left. Step your left foot to be in that Goldilocks region where your hips can root back, and you're also getting a really nice hip opener. So in my body, I can go pretty far up because my hips are open, but you might be a little bit further back here, okay? Left knee is tracking over your left toes. Bloom your butt high, and then bloom your ribs. Reach your ribs forward, sit your hips back. The exhalation, really feel that corset effect. And then shift right, and the left hand lifts and it holds your right ribs. You can even position your hand underneath your clothes. Feel your ribs push into the ground with your right hand and expand your right rib into your left hand. Then use the hand to lift the ribs and pull it away from the belly. Sit the bum back. Intentionally feel the soft strength that you're developing through your torso as your side body cinch in. Great. Release the rib hook. Kickstand your right foot so it just steps wide to the side. It's the top of your foot that's on the ground. And then you're gonna hold the back of the head with the left elbow. Now hug the elbow in and then arc over your right shoulder. Untuck your butt. Reach the ribs and the crown of the head forward as you lean your head into your hand and resist your hand back into your head. Your gaze is more to the down and to the right, but lift your chin from your throat so your neck stays open. Pulse it. Remember, as the hips root and the ribs rise, this stretches the belly long. With length comes strength. 3, 2, and 1. Lower the left hand, the left foot, and the knee. Step your knees wide and your feet together. Push down through the tops of the feet, drag them forward. Walk your hands up and over to the left. The hands are still wider and more in front of the shoulders. As you push into the ground, we prioritize the ribs. Always, if you push into the ground, you can feel that expansion through the ribs. Then keep the expansion as you arc to the left. Take a deep breath and connect with your bottom right ribs, lifting out of the waist. Whoa, holy moly. Then sit your right bum back as you simultaneously pull the ribs forward. For 5. Maybe close your eyes to deepen your ability to sense what's happening. As you stretch that side body long, whoa, we're really effectively knitting together the myofascia fibers. Come through center. Walk your hands up and over to the right. Again, they're stepped more at, they're wide and more in front of the shoulders, but not too wide. So I don't want you to feel really unstable. I want you to feel more stable because of the position of the arms. Now untuck your butt and root your left hip back. Then begin to reach your left ribs away from your hips to experience the length through your left side body. Deep breath. Drawing your belly button in, drawing that front, those front muscles in the core just slightly in, but keeping your butt untucked for 3. Soften your face, lift your chin from your throat. Your gaze is more at the right hand. And 1, inhale, come back to center. Whoa, come onto your forearms for a moment. If you need to grab your block and place your forehead on your block, that's gonna be more restorative. It's so deeply healing. Let's go forward and back. Just resetting your nervous system, calibrating this information, this new way, this new format of aligning your body. We've got to give the nervous system an opportunity to catch up, and then walk up onto your hands. Step your feet together. Curl your toes under, lift your knees, and step your feet wide, crouching cat position. Bend into your knees, shine your butt towards the sky. For this moment, just let your ribs drop towards your upper thighs, the fronts of your thighs, and keep that expansion through your hips and through your sitting bones as you now push into the ground to reach your ribs more forward. So remember, the separation of the sky of the ribs and the earth of the hips, that's what creates that cinching in energy. Then we're gonna pulse it, but each time that you pulse, and the hips go back, the ribs simultaneously pull forward, right? So even as we bend the knees, the ribs, they're going to go in the backward direction, but energetically we want them to go forward. 2 and 1. Walk your hands back. Step your hands up to your thighs. Okay, just relax here. Let the ribs get heavy and the shoulders come up towards your ears. We want to feel that directionality of what happens when the ribs drop. It's a nice reprieve for a moment. We just don't want to get stuck there. So now push your hands into your legs to elevate your ribs, opening your front heart. Take the weight more forward into the paws of your feet and you're rooted through your hips. Soften your lower back to feel the bowing shape of your front belly. Then we're gonna dip the right rib to center. Your chin stays aligned with your sternum. Push into your legs with your arms, but now it's a high rib dip. So it's not just a low rib dip where we're dropping, it's a high rib dip. Then please lift your left hand and you're bringing it to your right rib and you're pushing in and pulling forward. You're pulling in that direction. And then lift, release, other side, left rib dip, the dip is high. Take a deep breath, shift right without collapsing weight. We don't want to do that. Keep the arm engaged as your hand pushes in and pulls up. And to the right, lift through center. Sweetly come to standing position. All right, my friends, take a little sway. Close your eyes and just feel, notice. Are there sensations? What observations are you having? Then pause here and we're gonna bring the hands into this waist hook. And please step your feet wide, shoulder width distance, toes pointing forward. As you bend your knees, bloom your butt back. And then feel the rib cage lifting up, not just the front ribs, not just this flare. No. We want to connect, actually, we can connect more fully with this with using your thumbs to sort of gently palpate the back ribs, because that's really like this T12 area here. That's the energy that's going up as a vector, right? And that's usually the place right here is where we're deflating, where it's like, owie, and then we get that rib flare. So we want the whole rib cage to be lifting. Did you see what happened to my core there? Like when I fill the back ribs and then lift the whole back ribs, side ribs, and front ribs, naturally the belly begins to tone, and you can sort of see it in my body. Anyway, okay, so finding and just palpating there. Then walk your hands to your base ribs. You're holding that bottom place. Bend into your knees. You're rooting the hips. Those are the anchor. That's the anchor point. Then draw your chin in towards your chest. Fill into your back bottom ribs. Now lift your chin from your chest, and I want you to lift your ribs but root your hips. Can you feel that Chinese finger freedom energy pulling in opposite directions? Okay, now lift the arms, cross your left arm over your right, arc your right ear behind your shoulder, elbows bend wide, lift your left ribs towards the sky as you gently push your wrists into each other. Sit the left hip back as the left rib is on the rise. Usually the arms are way further back in beginners, so make sure that they're just in the front plane. The right upper arm is at the right cheek. Then exhale, drawing in that corset. Inhale, lift, switch out the arms, left ear arcs behind your left shoulder, outer elbows wide. Begin to lift your right ribs into the air. Bend into your knees, bloom your butt back. Deep breath. Exhale, drawing your chin, drawing your front belly in, side bodies in, and letting your lower back bow forward. Inhale, lift. Slowly lower your arms, but keep that fullness of your radiant heart. Radiant heart is the ribs filling and lifting in all directions. Whoa, how do you feel? Okay, just check in. Big energy moving. Oftentimes, when we open the belly space, we can release a lot of emotions that we've been storing in the tissue here. So if you are feeling emotional, it's so valid, and it's very important just to tend to those emotions, feel them, cry, process what's ever coming up for you so that we don't continue to store them, like just continue to hold them. We want to feel them to release them. Okay, let's come down to the floor to finish out class. I'm gonna move this chair, come to the back of your space. Step your feet wide. Bend into your knees, bloom your butt back. Even walk your hands to your mid thighs in this horseshoe hand position, outer elbows wide. And then it's like you're pushing into your thighs to elevate your ribs. Your butt is the snail shell. Actually, let's even just take a double hip hook here. So we're wide, and then if you walk your hands around the back of your body, fingers towards the groin, hands at the bottom of the butt, sit back, and then just begin to pull up. Now lengthen your belly. And so the hips are the snail shell, and your belly is the snail coming out of its shell. Lower the hands, release the hands, and then bend into your knees, walk your hands forward, step your feet back. Hands are wider and more in front of the shoulders. Feet are hip width distance. 5, conscious bend and extend. I want you to think about an hourglass. The top of the hourglass is the ribs, the bottom is the hips, and then that center place where it tapers in, that's your belly. That's your waistline that we're training to go in, but we have to train the tissue to move in that directionality. With the feet stepped hip width distance apart, arc your left ear behind your shoulder and twist your knees to the right. Sit your hips high to the sky, but untuck your butt. Your gaze is towards your left hand. Lift your right ribs into the air and dome your right hand. The dome is like you're holding a ball. Push out of your left arm, bend into your knees like 6 inches, but don't drop your butt. Then pull the ribs forward for 5. Deep breath. 3, 2, and 1. Now you're gonna lower your left foot and your left knee. Push out of the left arm and hold the back of your head. Bloom your butt so you're opening your pelvic floor and arc over your left shoulder. We want to hug the right elbow in, okay, in towards the face, and then pull the bottom of your right ribs forward. As you take your gaze down into the left, keep your chin lifting from your throat. And one, lower your right hand, step it back up into crouching cat. Twisted cat left, arc your right ear behind your shoulder, twist your knees to the left. Prioritize the ribs filling as you push into the ground with your hands. Bend into your knees and bloom your butt back. You're moving in that anterior tilt with a full rib cage. Dome your left hand. We're only going to be here for a couple more moments, but can you feel the separation of the ribs and the hips? Cinching in at the waistline, then lower your right foot and your right knee. Variation of twisted cat, arc over the right shoulder, and then push into your right arm, hold the back of your head, narrow your top elbow in. So I'm giving you my back view because I just want you to see this from different angles. Take your gaze down and to the right, but lift your chin from your throat, push your head into your hand. Reach the bum back. 3. Hips root, they anchor. That's so steady, they're grounded, they're present, and that's why we can feel and lift the ribs away from them. And 1, let's just lower the left foot and the left knee and come onto the left hip. Lower your right leg to your left. Your right hand lowers in front of your body. Lower the left hand to the right corner of your mat. Start by arcing your ear to your shoulder and go slow here as you rise the ribs. Keep the ribs on the rise. And then coming into this side bow position, bend into your knees. And then, so you're like maybe at bar stool height, then you're gonna lift your bottom left ribs by pushing into the ground with your hands. Then drag your hands back, whoa, and you're gonna pull your ribs forward and take your left arm to be a little bit more at a diagonal so that when your head is resting on your arm, the cheek is on the arm and the ear is sliding off the back of the arm. Can you feel how open your throat is here? Can you feel how open your belly is? Let's just take your hand to your waistline. You can gently palpate your lower back. And if you feel comfortable, like just softening here and really letting go tension so that you can achieve a bigger, brighter breath, then I encourage you to do that. Now, soft, long. So let's get long. Double head rest. The hands come to hold the back of the head. Now, lean back. Push your knees forward energetically, and can you feel your butt go back? So when your knees go forward, your butt goes back. Okay, they're not like going forward like this. It's just a little bit. Knees forward, butt back. Can you feel that length established through your torso? As you lean back, opening your bottom ribs, opening the front ribs, lifting the top ribs, and then push your knees forward. That blooms your butt back. Part your top leg from your bottom leg. Gentle flexion through the feet, relax your toes, and we're gonna go 10 wide and narrow pulses. Close your eyes, seal your lips, and space your teeth. Posture your tongue to the roof of your mouth so that you can feel your central channel energy, the vibrant vertical core that moves through the center of your whole body. It's lengthening. 3, 2, and 1. Cross your top leg over your bottom leg. We call this baby hurdler. Climb up onto your forearms. So I want to be on the outside of the left hip, not on the front, okay? Not like this. It's like this, the side of the left hip. Come onto your forearms, push into the ground to elevate your heart, and then just take your ribs from side to side. Pause in the middle and push your knees down and forward so that your feet float from the ground. Okay? Pause, knees push down and forward, elbows Push into the ground to fill your ribs. Now arc your right ear behind your shoulder and push your left ribs wide. Deep breath, little pulses. As you exhale, enjoy that tapering in effect, that you are naturally getting through this alignment, but then we're also very intentional about producing through our actions so that the side bodies taper in. Shift right and slide your left hand to the right corner of your mat. Pull out your left rib, so don't just drop the ribs, pull them out once again, and then lift, keep the feet the knees where they are, and lift your right arm. First like a Y, left arm to the ground, then you can open your right arm to be more like a T. Oh. Deep belly breath. And then slowly come back to your belly, or come onto your belly. Lift your right leg and really reach it back. Lift your left whole leg, really reach it back. Then you're going to place your hands a little bit wider of your shoulders to lift your bottom front ribs. Pull the hands back to push the ribs forward. Do you feel that length? Oh yeah. Okay, and then come up onto your forearms. If you're pregnant, then do another set of the side bow on that same side, because we'll be doing it on the other side. But okay, so now with the forearms lifted and you're on the back side of your elbows here, you're gonna push down and drag the elbows back. Can you feel your back ribs expand and your armpits inflate, but your traps are relaxed? Can you feel that? Okay, that's radiant heart, baby. Good job. Now you're gonna lift the feet a few inches, and now you're gonna push your knees down and forward. As your knees push down and forward, your groins lift from the ground. You're very light in your low belly. Now I'm gonna walk my elbows just a little bit more forward to give me a better opportunity at tractioning. Knees push down and forward. Now drag simultaneously your elbows down and back. Cinch in at the waistline and slowly, with a deep breath, knees pushing down and forward, windshield wiper your heels left and right. Good job, everybody. This is such a cool place to feel, though, that Chinese finger freedom energy of that toy. Heels to center, lower your heels, slowly extend your right arm long and roll to your right side. Second set of side bow. Position your hips behind your ribs. The hips, they love to be behind the ribs. And then we're gonna pull out the right rib cage by pushing into the ground with the hands. Drag the hands back to pull the ribs forward. Do you feel that energy of your waist get longer? That's good news. The right arm is stepped at a subtle diagonal so that when you rest your head on your arm, your cheek is held by your arm, but your ear is sliding off the back of your arm. Okay, then with the feet bent, or the legs bent about bar stool height, let's go ahead and bring it into double headrest. That's the fingertips meeting in the center of the skull, and the elbows, they're hugging in initially, just wide of the face. Okay, push your knees forward. And when you do that, like, look how subtle it is in my body, right? I'm just going with the energy, knees forward and up, right? Then your booty goes back. Fill your ribs with your breath as you part your top leg from your bottom leg. And we're gonna go wide and narrow. Actually, it's more like narrow and narrow. The hips are rooted from the pelvic tilt. Your breath is long, it's strong, and it's deep. Maybe you can begin to feel your bottom waistline cinch in, but we just don't want to be engaging the belly so much that we are not getting breath into that region. It really needs our breath there. 3, 2, and 1. So we're learning how to do both simultaneously. Cross the top leg in front of the bottom leg and climb up onto your forearms. Root your knees, push your knees down and forward, and float the feet. Take some side to side glides with your ribs left and right. As your breath moves long, it's simultaneously going wide into your ribs. So we're opening the ribs like an accordion. Pause here, push the knees down and forward, bloom your booty back. As you arc to the left, push into that forearm, lift your chin from your throat. Relax your toes. The left ear is arcing to the left, but it's not just collapsing through the shoulder. We want length through the neck because the neck and the belly are interconnected. Please slide your right hand to the left corner of your mat. Pull out your right ribs before you lower them to the ground, and then please roll onto your back. The back of your head is to the ground. First, lift your left arm so that arms are positioned more like a Y, and then you can move it to a T. What happens to this twist when you push the knees down and forward just a little bit? Whoa, it gets deep. Deep breath. And one. Okay. Finishing out class, please step your body to center. Lift and mound your glutes. Lift your arms so the back of heart opens, and then take your hands to your waist. Give yourself some massage here, just palpating, feeling the front of the hips, the bottom of the ribs, and we want the lower back to bow up into the belly. Now pause here and hug your horseshoe hands together. Begin to draw the front belly in and the side waistline in, but you're not curling your tailbone, you're not collapsing your ribs, right? Just feeling that energy. Okay, now lift the arms. We're gonna do a little bit of like core work, bowspring style, but all of this has been core work, okay? I wanna emphasize that. Okay, lift your chin from your throat so the neck is open, lift your feet from the ground. Now resist bringing your knees too far in, because what happens if we bring the knees too far in? We shorten the belly, we collapse the lower back. We wanna stay connected to the curves, so lift and mound your glutes, lift the knees and move them a little bit away from your body, and begin to feel that cinching in at the side bodies as we take a bicycle ride. Now, as you bicycle ride, you can feel the side bodies, they're toning in, front body toning in, back curve is bowing forward. Let's go in the opposite direction. Space your teeth, seal your lips. And then lower your feet to the ground. Walk your feet wide and relax your knees together. Then windshield wiper your knees to the left, your arms to the right, opposite side. A couple more times on each side. Tilting your pelvis forward to maintain that lower back curve through every movement of the knees is going to really support and enhance all of this core work that we're doing. Okay, knees to center. Root your glutes up towards your sacrum. So I just manually lifted the glutes. Lift your arms towards the sky. Second set. Lift your chin from your throat first, because we don't want to be moving with a collapsed neck. Okay, because it's all connected, my friends. Lift your chin, open the throat, lift your feet. And 10 bicycle pedals. Go slow, especially if you think they're easy. If this is easy for you, then I welcome you to do barrel rolls, which is both of the feet working together. And you're longer, brighter through your central channel. We're not kinking anywhere. Pause in the center, lift your feet, and opposite side. 10. Side body cinching in, front belly long, back body toned. 3, 2, and 1. Lower the feet, relax the knees together, take your hands to your belly. Just pause here for a moment. Big belly breaths with your inhalation, and then the exhale is sweetly just nourishing the tissue fibers, knitting together to create that length. Lift your arms, lift your feet. Now twist your knees to the right and your arms to the left. This is a real active twist, so the legs are lifted from the ground, feet are gently flexed, toes are relaxed, knees to center, then to the left, arms to the right. Bring the hourglass into your mind's eye. Couple more times on each side, and as you imagine the hourglass, you can really energize the tapering in effect at the waist. And then the hips are really big bulbous energy, and the ribs are really big bulbous energy. Lower your feet to the ground, mound your glutes up, lift your knees into your hands, lift your feet away from your hips, Widen your elbows and move your knees away from your body so we still have that lower back curve. It's like you could slide a toy car underneath it. Now let your legs go really wide. Then imagine that you're squeezing a big beach ball, so your legs go slightly narrow. Then you're gonna roll on your head, your heart, and your hips. Just look at my roll, make sure that you're getting all of the action through the head, the heart, and the hips, so I can even push down through my head and give myself a really nice massage through my scalp. And then when you feel complete, come through center, lower your feet to the ground, mound your glutes up towards your sacrum. Slowly slide each leg long. If you need to prop your knees with a pillow or 2 blocks, then do so. If you have any lower back pain or specific like pelvic pressure, that can be really helpful at releasing that. But if not, totally cool. Take up a little bit more space with your legs and your arms than you typically would. And lift your chin out of your throat, close your eyes. And this is a really important part of our practice, just to assimilate and to calm the nervous system, to create the space to integrate all of the information and the space that you've created in your mind, in your body, in your awareness today. Just really calm and steady breaths. The exhalation, you can feel that natural essence of the energy coming in at the waist and through the back and through the front belly. Just give your weight to the ground. As you give your weight to the ground, being mindful of relaxing any tension that has built up through this class. And if it feels good to you, then I invite you to take a deep breath in and then let a hum out with your lips sealed. 2 more of those. Taking a moment to honor your healing process, to the energy that guided you into this space today. It's with reverence and gratitude that you're here and that you've shown up. With that sense of aliveness, begin to move your fingers and your toes and your feet and your ankles. Then slowly stretch your arms over your head. And as you stretch your arms back over your head, root your bum down and just feel your belly lengthen. It naturally tapers in equally on all sides. Do you feel that? That's what we're going for. Step your feet in towards your hips. Step your hips to the side as you roll to your right side. Push down through your left arm, your ribs first, your head is last. Meeting in a kneeling position, or if that doesn't feel good for you, then meet me in your chair. Please bring a soft prayer position to the front of your heart with your elbows not collapsed into your body, but more wide. Relax your traps. Feel the richness of your radiant heart extending 360 degrees. Then there's a lifting energy to the ribs as you root your hips. Feel the space between your ribs and your hips get longer. All of the action and creativity and creation and release and elimination. There's so much energy that is transpiring in our torso region, and we can just bow inward to this experience of exploring this space of our bodies. Bow inward with deep love, deep gratitude, meeting of self. Please lift your chin from your throat, open your arms towards the sky to elevate the ribs. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for showing up and trying this practice on. Please, please, please let me know how it felt. What confused you? What did you love? As always, please like, subscribe, blah, 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 to make this video more accessible to people in their algorithm. But really, it's the deepest heartfelt gratitude I feel for you getting this far in the video and giving yourself this gift. So much love. Have such a beautiful day. Many blessings.